Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtage Namaha Gokarastvandhakaro Vai Rukarastanivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururityabhidhiyate Om Sahana Vavatu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. A gentle reminder to please wear a mask if you are not doing that. The words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam appear to be difficult to understand primarily for two reasons. First, we are accustomed to looking at the direct meaning of those words, and they don't yield anything. No understanding is gained because what we need to be looking for is the lakshana meaning, in other words, the implied meaning. What is implied? And we saw some examples of implication, where the same words in the language that we are accustomed to are used, but then slightly differently, indirectly. The words convey something, but they are not the direct, what is it called? They are not the, they indicate rather than describe or describe the attributes of something. This is why the words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam look to be a little difficult to comprehend. Because again, the mind wants to be active and, lock in the word Satyam to mean Brahman, almost like an attribute of Brahman. Just like, the example given by Adi Shankara, one cannot top. What does he say? Blue, big, fragrant lily. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Brahma is equal to lily, big, blue, big, and big lily. And then big lily is Satyam, big Satyam. And then what else? Blue, Jnanam, fragrant, Anantam. What is wrong with this picture? Huh? These words do not function as visheshanas. They don't function as adjectives. Adjectives are important when distinguishing something from other things in its own class, in its own jati. Svajatiyebhyah vishayebhyah vyavartakam visheshanam. Vyavartakam, distinguishing capacity. Svajatiyebhyah vishayebhyah. So it is distinguishing it. It is, in the class of lilies, there are all these attributes that certain lilies have and certain lilies do not have. Oh, I would like a lily. Then you will say, what kind? Oh, bring me the big one. When you go look in the water, there are many big lilies. Which big lily you want? Oh, it will be nice to have a blue one. There are many big blue lilies. Which one do you want? Get me the one that is the fragrant variety. Then you hone into what you want in this particular way. Same thing. Tall tree, bushy tree, flowering tree, withering tree, leafless tree, deciduous tree, evergreen tree. These are all attributes. And the attributes, the function of the attributes, whether it's in the Sanskrit language or in the English language, is to distinguish things from other things in its own class. Is Brahman a class? No. Thank God the answers are coming a little early. I consider myself fortunate. It's not a class. How many Brahmans are there? Only one. So therefore, this is not a definition like the definition of big blue lily. In fact, it's not a recounting of the attributes. It cannot be. Looking at it like this, we will miss the boat, and that is one of the reasons why the words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam appear to be difficult to comprehend. They are not supposed to be attributes. Attributes are there only when there are many things of the same kind and we need to distinguish them from one another. But the mind and the speech are used to rattling off attributes. We are a guna-dependent society. We keep wanting attributes, more and more attributes, and do all this. And the second reason, and we'll come back to why it is, we'll come back to if it's not a Visheshana, what it is, we'll come back. But then the second reason why the words Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam appear to be difficult to comprehend is thanks to popular paperback Vedanta, which translates these words as existence, knowledge, bliss with a capital B. A series of head-scratching moments. Existence, immediately the question begs, of what? Existence of what? Knowledge of what? Bliss with a capital B. Oh, so that means it is different from ice cream Ananda. It is different. This is Ananda, bliss. This bliss, actually, this overuse of the word bliss is actually a blister in our understanding. It's just useless, absolutely a waste of time. Because it gives the wrong understanding. It takes you down the wrong road of thinking that there is, quote unquote, regular Ananda. And then there is Brahmananda, which is separate and different. Like calf and decaf. This is not what it is. Regular and decaf. This is not what it is. Because if the happiness that is Brahman is separate and outside of your ken, of all the kinds of happinesses that you experience, then we are in trouble. That means it is unattainable. Oh no, you have to know Brahman and then you get this special happiness. It is still, okay, maybe it is attainable if you know Brahman, but then attaining that is of no use because that too is limited. Oh, but why is it limited? Because anything outside of you is limited. You cannot say, there goes this lovely limitlessness. Look, and exclude yourself from it. We already saw what happened in chapter 11 when Arjuna excluded himself from the show that is Bhagavan. He was a mess. He was a bundle of nerves and fears. So that is not an option. It cannot be outside of you. Nothing is outside of you. If it is outside of you, first of all, then we are in terrible trouble. Vedanta will be in hot water. There will be what is called anirmoksha prasanga. We can never get moksha. Why can't you get moksha? Because with attaining this so-called ananda, bliss, whatever you want, whatever they call it, of Brahman, which is away from everything and which is separate and which is existing somewhere along with Brahman, that means what? It doesn't include you. It is outside of you. It is just like coffee ananda and lunch ananda, breakfast ananda. It will be just another finite experience. And then you say, oh, the time spent with Brahman was wonderful. I think I'm going to start a blog just to tell people how Brahman is. Wrong. This is why it is so mystifying. And this is why everybody says, many people who listen to the talk say, I didn't understand. It's not that you didn't understand. There were certain things that were coming in the way. That has to be dropped. There is a resistance to seeing it as oneself. And there is a previous conditioning from all other paperback Vedanta books that describe this as existence, knowledge and bliss and see it as attributes of Brahman. Not correct. In fact, we are doing ourselves a disservice and reproducing the very things that we wish to avoid. Advaita Hani takes place, loss of Advaita. There is no Advaita. Because if you are different and this special Brahman Ananda, only to be enjoyed by an elite group of Brahmajnanis, it's just like any other club. That's what it is, some kind of a club where you pay big fees and then you go there and sit. Even at home you can sit in your chair. No, but you have to go there and sit. And then eat something and drink something and come back. Watch something, a concert, and come back. And so therefore, these cannot be attributes. Number one. So if they are not attributes, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam are not qualities of Brahman, what are they? They are the definition of Brahman. A definition, technically speaking, fits a particular thing that it defines. And it suits no other situation. There should be no avyapti. Avyapti, again a technical term from logic in Sanskrit. Avyapti means it should not cover the scenario, and there should not be ativyapti, means it should not cover more than that one particular scenario. It should be a necessary and a sufficient definition. Supposing I say, I'm going to define a human being. Oh, great. Well, what's the definition of a human being? That which has two legs is a human being. What is the problem? Includes all the birds and everything that has two legs. There is ativyapti here. It covers more than the human being. Correct? Yeah. So if you want a precise definition of a human being, it's better to say that which complains incessantly is a human being. Perfect. Yeah. No other jantu in the whole world complains like the human being. See, it is not ativyapti, it is not an overreach, it's not an underreach, avyapti. That is the beauty of a definition. The definition has to be fitting. Adi Shankara gives an example. He gives the definition of akasha, space. How many spaces are there? Abba, thank God. If you had said 2, I would have had to wonder the location of the second one, whether it is here. Even though we say spaced out. One space, only space. So you cannot say beautiful space because there is no ugly space. You cannot say unpolluted space because space cannot be polluted. It's the air that is polluted, even though there is a certain kind of a transference that's taking place in our discussion. You cannot say, this is what it is. So space means it has to have a fitting definition. And Adi Shankara gives that definition, avakasha pradatra akasha. That which accommodates is space. What a lovely definition. Closet space. Closet space means as soon as you open, things fall out. That is, that is closet space. Closet space. Then what else? Room space, hall space, auditorium space, temple space, bedroom space, kitchen space, open space. It all is included in this definition. That which accommodates is space. In fact, nothing accommodates like space. And so the definition that which accommodates cannot be applied to any other entity in the universe other than space. This is Lakshana. Lakshana means definition. So the definition of Brahman, not the attributes of Brahman, but the definition of Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Not the attributes, not the qualities, not the anything else. It's the definition. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Satyam we saw. Indeed, it does mean or convey the sense of existence, but with a small caveat or a big caveat, existence that is not time-bound. Existence as in the present, ever-present tense verb, the first verb is. Is a primary verb in the English language, and is also a primary verb in the Sanskrit language. The first verb in the first conjugation, bhu, and then bhu means to be. And it is defined as sattayam in the sense of existence. So we retain that. Ajahat lakshana. We retain that sense of existence. And we wash out, scrub out that time-boundness. Jahal lakshana. Both. It's a little bit of both. Jahal lakshana. It is where something is dropped from the word existence. The concept of time is totally scrubbed out, totally dropped. And then what is brought in? Something is brought in. What is brought in? What is retained? Isness. That's how it becomes isness. Is retained, but then the sense of time boundedness connected to that is dropped. That's how we see that the is in everything. Everything is nothing but a manifestation of is. But for that is to be all pervasive and timeless, it cannot be any one thing. All that is here is. But when we talk of isness itself, it is not the property of a single incarnation. It's not the property of a single particular thing. Everything is not any one thing. All that is here is Sat. Sat is not any one thing. It cannot be. It lends its existence to everything without becoming anything in particular. We saw this as Sat. What is the next word? Jnanam. Here too, Jahat and ajahat lakshana. Certain thing is retained and certain thing is given up. Jnanam translates as knowledge. Again, very mystifying. The verb to know being a transitive verb, sakarmaka dhatu, what happens? Then it begs the question. And you have to go back to 3rd or 4th grade when you did transitive and intransitive verbs. What is a transitive verb? That which begs the question, what? Knowledge of what? Intransitive verb. I know. What do you know? That is the question. Transitive verb. Intransitive verb. I sit. You don't ask, what do you sit? No. You can ask on what you sit, but that's a different thing. Are you sitting on an asana on the floor, or is it a chair, or are you sitting on the bed, or are you perched on a table? That's different. But intransitive verb does not directly respond to the question what. I sit. I stand. I eat. What do you eat? Immediately. Sakarmaka. Transitive verb. So what is the verb to know? Is it transitive or intransitive? Transitive. I know. Immediately, what do you know? And that can be answered. I know that I don't know. Okay. So, it being a transitive verb, I know, then of course, what is the object of knowledge? Immediately we look at it. If we are looking at the word knowledge, knowledge of what? And in Sanskrit, the word jnanam is a very fluid word because of the particular suffix. What is the suffix? Jna plus anam. This anam is a very flexible and fluid dhatu verb. What does it do? It just lends itself to mean karta. The knower is also called jnanam. And the object of knowledge can also be denoted by the word jnanam. And the means of knowing that object, that which connects the subject to the object, can also be denoted by the word jnanam. Now, satyam jnanam. So, are we going to take Brahman as the knower? No. Yes and no. If Brahman is solely the knower, then again we are in trouble. Because that which Brahman knows will be separate from the knower. Okay, Brahman is not the knower, Brahman is the object of all knowledge. Again we are in trouble. Because the knower is sentient, and then what is the known? The known is insentient. So Brahman becomes jada. Jadatvam praptam brahmanaha. Brahman jada means insentient. Then if we take Brahman as solely the means of knowledge, then who is this ghost knower and who is this known? So then what is this Brahman? When you say jnanam, is it the agent of knowledge? Is it the object of knowledge? Or is it the means of knowledge? It is none of them. It is neither the knower, nor the known, nor the means of knowledge. Oh, then what is it? It is that in the presence of which there is knower, there is known, there is means of knowledge. That which sustains the knower and the known, that which sheds light and indicates the means of knowledge without being any one of them in particular. It's like an ocean. Oceanic sentience is the meaning of the word jnanam here. Fluid, and it's sentient, all pervasive. That's why I use the example of an ocean. All pervasive, huge, endless. You can't see onto the other shore. Limitless. Limitless. You can't even say body, because again it makes it finite. Look at how the grammar fails us, how the language fails us, how Vak, has to keep editing itself. You cannot say body of knowledge. It's all knowledge. So this huge, all knowledge, sentience, which is resting in a being, a conscious being. But where did this being come from? Sat. Sat means to be. What kind of Sat? A sentient Sat. This is what we get by the term jnanam. So in this oceanic, all-pervasive sentience, let's say there is a wave, and we can call it knower. Then there is another wave, we can call it known. The first wave waves to the second wave and says, that's why it's called wave, and says, I know you, I see you, hello. Then there is a third wave, which is the pramana wave, which is in the form of eyes in this situation, which allows that second wave to be seen by the first wave. All these waves arise from what? Okay, now let me give you the answer also. Okay, yeah. What are we talking of right now? Ocean. So the answer to every question now in the next couple of minutes is what? Abba. Okay. So the first wave, from where does it arise? By what is it sustained? When it goes back, where does it go back to? Yeah. The second wave, the object. So the first wave is karta, knower, pramata, knower. The agent of knowledge is sustained by, arises from, and resolves in that sentience. Don't say ocean now. This is darshtanta, that which is being depicted. It arises, falls, and is sustained by that oceanic sentience, limitless sentience. Now what about all the objects? Part, thought, etc.? That is what is signified by the second wave. So the second wave arises where? Ocean. People had a doubt, should I say sentience or should I say ocean? These are my tactics to keep you awake, okay? And interactive. Second wave, what is sustaining the second wave? Ocean. It arises from the ocean and then goes back to the ocean. Same thing. When the third wave, which depicts the sense organs, ways of knowing, means of knowledge, etc., they too arise from the ocean, are sustained by the ocean, and resolve into the ocean. So too here, pramana, pramata, and then prameya. Very good. All three are sustained by this endless sentience. Pramana, way of knowing, sense organs and inference, etc. Prameya, objects to be known. Pramatru, pramata, knower. All three are sustained by the sentience. Without this jnanam, this endless sentience, none of them can be. But what is this jnanam? Neither pramata, nor prameya, nor pramana. For it to be all three, it cannot be any one of them. And we go back to the example. Every wave is non-separate from the yes, from the ocean. Wave is ocean, but the ocean is not the wave. Jnanam is pramana, is the other way around. Pramana is jnanam, pramata is jnanam, prameya is jnanam, jnanam is not any one of them. In the individual perception and transaction of the everyday life, there is the three-way split. Knower, known, object of knowledge. Jnata, jnanam, jneyam. Pramata, pramanam, prameya. Same thing. Doer, action, and the act of doing. Like this, there is a triputi, a threefold split, which is why in the so-called transactional reality, one experiences everything little by little. The actor acts, and then there is a mode of action, and then there is the result of action. Everything is experienced in little fragments. Now go back to the promise. What is the promise? Sarvan kaman samashnute. All desires are fulfilled in one fell swoop. Why? Because the complaining pramata is knocked off as a conceptual entity. What do you mean the knower is knocked off? That's why this knowledge is so special. That's why it has to be given by the teacher through a particular series of methodologies. Because in all other DIY knowledges, where you are able to open a book, study, look at this, look at that, and make conclusions, make assumptions, dismiss certain assumptions and ratify certain others. The knower is a strong entity, will not budge, in the form of the ahankara backed by the mind. The knower is calling the shots. I know, me. Everything has to go through me. I am the agent of knowledge. Wonderful. This is what is meant by this statement, yato vacho nivartante. I am wonderful, I am great, me, I am the knower. And then this kind of a mind comes into Vedanta class. Gets very confused. It's not confused, it's resistant, that's all. Gets very confused. And then gets very frightened. OMG, it says. This Vedanta is going to displace me. I'm no longer in the throne. A throne that is marked nowhere. There is no catch, no kill, no throne for me to sit. I have been displaced, dislodged. The rug under the throne has been shaken up. That is what has to be understood. That is what means surrender. Surrendering the pramata. Surrendering the knower, because here this is, when you think of Brahman as the knower, then what you get is just peanuts, really. Enough for time pass, that's all. You don't get this Advaita, because you have excluded yourself out. The addiction to sitting on the throne of agency, of the actor, of the knower, deprives the jiva of understanding oneself as limitlessly whole and as everything. It is what a trade-off, really. What a terrible trade-off. What a horrible choice I have made in this life. I am firmly fixed in the throne of the knower because I am addicted to that status. I am addicted to just keeping on reproducing the small, the inconsequential. Oh, who went there? What happened over here? What's going on over there? Who said what about whom? This becomes the preoccupation. Why is this person in the class? This person is not ready for Vedanta. I know how they behave. And they are not ready at all. And here they are sitting, nodding their heads and everything. And it is a waste of time. This is what the pramata does. First, the knower has this, the mind and the ego together. And of course the speech is also used here. All of them, they have a certain status and they are immediately passing judgments. Two kinds of judgments. One against the whole universe, and then in the spare time, if there is any, against oneself. I don't like this one, that one is a waste of time, this one is a gossip. Who is saying? This gossip is saying that one is a gossip. That one is a gossip. That one is an idiot. Oh, this one is so dull. They just sleep in class and they don't understand anything. You know what? They were snoring in the meditation. This is the pramata. This is the knower. And then after that, what happens? Little time is left. Nothing for a change. All the complaints have been exhausted for 5 minutes. Then what happens? I don't like how I look. I don't like my body. I don't like how I think. I just don't like this. Why did I do this? Kimaham sadhu na karavam, kimaham papam akaravamiti. Why am I doing this all the time? Why didn't I do correctly? Why am I doing the wrong things? What's wrong with me? Maybe it's the fault of the stars. It's nice to blame something, you know. So there is a kind of a cycle between blaming the universe, including all the celestial bodies. The Shani is always in the wrong place. Okay? Yeah. And it's very rare to have Saturn in the correct place. It's always in the wrong place. Never in the right place. 7.5 years of what is called the Saturn cycle, coming every 30 years. So one can definitely have 2 cycles, perhaps even 3 in one lifetime. 7.5 years. When the Saturn is in the 12th, 1st and 2nd houses. The moon sign, relative to the moon. And that is done. And then after that you have a little bit of a respite. Then the Saturn goes to the 4th house, again, 2.5 years of difficulty. Ardhashtama it is called. Then when the Saturn goes to the 8th house, again 2.5 years of difficulty. Ashtama Shani. So like this, it's never in the right place. In one's transit chart, in one's natal chart, what have you. And then Rahu, Ketu again. They are also always in the wrong places. So it's nice to blame them. It's nice to say something is gone. Something is not right. And if all else fails, we have one very nice kind of a catch-all. The moon must be void of course, you know. In between signs or something, it's hanging there. Of course. That's what it must be. Something will be retrograde. Something will be combust. Something will be... It's like that. This is the universe. And the pramata means one is always analyzing the universe and having this yo-yo life between complaining actively about the Jagat or complaining inwardly about one's self, one's predicament, one's relationships, one's situation. Complaining about Bhagavan also. Series of complaints, never-ending complaints. That's why we say, come to Vedanta. What does Vedanta do? It removes the complainer. Complainer non-existent. Oh, why? Because you are that oceanic, all-pervasive sentience. Complainer is included, but complainer is not the final word. Complainer comes, complainer goes. That's why nobody complains in sleep. You see, it's gone. There is no complainer in sleep, no pramata in sleep, no analyzer in sleep. Whether you complain in sleep or not, other people definitely don't complain when you sleep. They are happy because they get moksha from you. So jnanam means that sentience which upholds the complainer but is not the complainer. Which upholds even ignorance. This is it's an ontological way to understand. It upholds even the ignorance and brings it to light. That's why one can say, I suffer from self-ignorance. That I am and I know I am is what we are talking about. That I know I am never turns into I don't know. That's why it is all knowledge. Even when you say, I don't know the Greek language, what you're really saying is, I know that I don't know the Greek language. It's always I know. And that knowing being is Brahman, is aham. It has to be understood as aham, this knowing being. And then finally the last word, anantam. Anantam actually means antam na vidyate yasya, that which does not have an end, limitless. But it is translated as ananda because we do not have a concept of limitlessness at all. We don't have a concept. Eternity, we don't have a concept other than to tell a friend, you're late, I have been waiting for an eternity. That is our concept of eternity. We don't have a concept. That's why the Shastra in its benevolence and compassion changes the word ananta into ananda. So we have some idea of it. And if Brahman, as I said at the beginning of the class, were a special ananda, then we are wasting our time. If it's special ananda outside of the realm of other types of ananda that is available to experience, then there is no use talking about this because that ananda too is finite. Therefore, it cannot be separate. It has to be the same. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says that this is the Ananda. Brahmananda alone is experienced in the everyday in small measure. Chocolate cake Ananda, movie Ananda, mall Ananda, friendship Ananda, knowledge Ananda, Vidyananda, that's also an Ananda. Yogananda, the Ananda got from doing yoga or any other kind of exercises. Yogananda. Matrameva upajivanti. All sarve janaha. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, everyone experiences this Brahmananda in a small, truncated, fragmented measure. And there is no end to the degrees of Ananda. Let's say we have a kind of a 1 ideal, typical measure of human Ananda. What would that look like? The Upanishad supplies that ideal, typical unit. Yuva syat sadhu yuvadhyayakah ashishto dradishto balishthah seyam prithvi vittasya purna syat saya eko manusha anandah. Let us imagine, the Upanishad gives a visualization. One unit of human Ananda. Let us visualize a young man. Wait, this is 2022 and 2023 almost. Why young man? Why not young woman? Young man, because there is more strength. That's all. And that balishtaha will come later on in the line. So contextually, young man. And then young man, when you think, immediately you think restless. Young and restless. No. Rebellious. No. Yuvasyat. And then a young man is there, let us understand. And then sadhu yuva. Sadhu yuva means very well behaved. What do you mean well behaved? Must be definitely developmentally challenged. Otherwise, who is well behaved all the time? Goody two shoes. No, adhyayakah, very well studied. Ashishtaha, very well taught in the Gurukula, very well taught at home. Must be a nerd. You say, phew, and the person falls over. Balishta, strong. Dradishta, must be wishy-washy. No, dradishta, very certain. Once they make the sankalpa, they carry it out. Now, this young man is looking like son-in-law material. Prospective son-in-law material for all the mommies, the aunties. And the uncles. In fact, the mamas are convinced. The father of the bride is convinced already. I think we should go for this one. This is wonderful. I think we should go for this one only. Look, well behaved. Look, very well educated. The auntie is a little more practical. What does she say? Show me the money. I'm not going to give my daughter to somebody, who is living on bhiksha. No. Show me the money. Sa iyam prithvi. Let us imagine, the Upanishad says that this whole earth and all her resources, the diamonds, the gems, the gold, the silver, and the forest wealth, the ocean wealth, the animal wealth belongs to this young man. What do you say, auntie? Auntie says, do not match the horoscopes. We don't want any problems. Just do the wedding. Auntie is convinced now. This is one unit of human happiness. You have strength, you are well educated, you are rich, you are powerful, you command a lot of resources. Is that enough to be happy? Well, it would have been had there not been another unit above that. The Upanishad asks you to do a little bit of mathematics. It says, multiply this by 100. Tege shatam manusha anandaha. Then what? Saya eko gandharvanandaha. Then you get 1 unit of the lower rung celestials' Ananda. 100 times your own Ananda, ideal, typical in this life, yields 1 unit of the Ananda enjoyed by lower rung musical celestials, such as Yakshas, Kinnaras, Gandharvas. Oh, is there more? You bet there is. Do the math. Multiply the Gandharvananda into 100. And then that yields you 1 unit of the Karma Devananda. Who are Karma Devas? The Karma Devas are just what they are called. They are celestials, chai walas, who bring chai to the other higher up devatas. They carry little, kettles of chai with glasses. And they say, chai, chai, chai. They are called Karma Devatas. Devan apiyanti. They serve the other devas with their karma. The higher rung devatas can say, look, this carpet is not going to vacuum itself. Are you coming? Are you going to help vacuum? Yes, yes, I'm right here. But even that, the domestic help in the celestial realm enjoys 100,000 more Ananda than you do. Imagine. Even if you are a CEO of a company and you can employ so many people to help you, then you do the math again. You multiply, you know how this goes. What do? You multiply that by 100 units. And then you get the Ananda enjoyed by who? The Pitrus. Pitrus means ancestors. Here we have to add dharmic ancestors. Ancestors who were dharmic and who did the right thing, who did not flout dharma. Those kinds of ancestors, they are in the ancestral realm enjoying lot of things. Much, much happier than you, definitely. And then you do the math again, and then you multiply that by that 1 unit of the ancestral Ananda. You multiply that by 100, and then you get some other kind of an Ananda of a particular kind of devatas. Like this, on and on it goes, you get the idea. Indra-ananda. Then you multiply somewhere along the line, you get towards the end, you get Indra. Indra, the ruler of the celestial realm called heaven. And you get Indra-ananda. 1 unit of Indra-ananda, what do? You multiply that by 100, and then this one, the Ananda enjoyed by Indra's guru. That Ananda comes. And then you multiply that, it's endless. Then Brahmananda. The Brahmananda is not Brahman's Ananda. Brahman is Ananda. Brahmananda means the Ananda enjoyed by Brahmaji. This is kind of mind-boggling. You just need to lie down now with a Tylenol. When you think of trillion times Ananda, which everyone else appears to be enjoying. And here you are sitting with on your treasure chest and thinking yourself to be happy. And as long as you know that these realms are there, it is something to achieve. And you can't achieve it, at least not while you have this particular body. Then you pray to die and be in one of those realms. And then what? You're stuck there for an entire kalpa. You know how long a kalpa is? No? I'll tell you. First you think of the number 436,000. To that you add 436,000 times 2. To that you add 436 times 1,000 times 3. To that you add 436 times 1,000 times 4. And that mind-boggling number is one kalpa, number of years. That is one kalpa. All 4 yugas. We are in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is 436,000 years. To that you add Dwapara Yuga. That's why it's called Dwapara. It's double the length of Kali Yuga. And then Treta, triple the length of Kali Yuga. Then Satya Yuga, quadruple the length of Kali Yuga. And then all that you add together. Then you get one kalpa. This is what Lord Yama did. He confesses to little Nachiketa, I knew better, but still I did all those rituals because I wanted to enjoy these celestial forms of Ananda. Janami aham, he laments. He has regret. Shevadhihi idam. That this, Shevadhi means this time-bound happiness, this time-bound treasure. It is exactly that. It is time-bound. I knew that. Tathapi maya, even then, by me. Chitaha nachiketa agnihi. So he had named this fire ritual after Nachiketa. That's why he calls it Nachiketa Agni. Chitaha, by me, was lit and I engaged in this ritual. What is the ritual? The fire ritual. To go to heaven and enjoy these exalted forms of Ananda. And in fact, my wife, Mrs. Yummy, that is, I'm not making this up. It's really, that's her name. Yummy told me, you're going to be in trouble, don't do that. Yeah, Yama, Yummy. Okay, yeah. Mrs. Yummy said, don't do that. You're in trouble, don't do that. In fact, she hid the ghee so that I would not do this yajna. But I found the key and the ghee I found. And then I kept on doing this ritual secretly whenever she went shopping. I kept on doing this ritual. And then what? Look at the irony, he says. Anityaihi dravyaihi praptavan asmi nityam. Now I'm enjoying a nitya. Nitya means pravahik nitya. It's just a sarcasm, a kind of an ironic use of the word nitya. It's not really eternity. It's like, oh my God, such a big span of time. Now I'm enjoying this so-called nitya by expending what? Anitya. Anitya means what? The dravyas, the various materials used to produce this nitya, themselves finite. This nitya is actually anitya, finite. Look at me. Here I am enjoying this. And oh, you Nachiketa, you have eschewed everything that I offered you. You are much better a student than I ever was. There is a lament. Because then you're stuck in the position of a chai devata. Always you have to be smiling. Coffee? Tea? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to be a chai wala. Unless you end up as a prime minister, okay? Then it's different. But nobody wants to be a chai wala. Kya baat hai? And so therefore, this is exactly why all these levels of Ananda are of no use. No, don't say that, I still want it. I want it. Can't I have it? Little bit. Yes, you can. How? Because when this whole very beautiful sing-song section of Ananda Mimamsa, that is this particular title of this section. Mimamsa means it's all about me and my Ananda. Okay? Yeah. Mimamsa means analysis. So this analysis of this Ananda as it is going on, there is a little refrain. Te ye shatam manusha anandaha saya eko gandharva nandaha. And there is a little chorus. Shrotriyasya cha kamahatasya te ye shatam something somethings ananda. Shrotriyasya cha kamahatasya. The Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya. So all these levels of ananda, which seem to be out of reach in this body, in this mind, which is used to consuming this finite, truncated, fragmented ananda, fragmented by what? Knower, known, experiencer, object of experience, mode of experience. This kind of a, what is that? Fragmented ananda. The one who is used to experiencing and is longingly looking for more, yes, you have all that. All these anandas are included in the person who is sitting under a tree, not really having a lot of possessions, not really discontented, in fact, very contented. Who is that? Shrotriya. Who is a Shrotriya? The one who has been well instructed by the gurus in the lineage. One who belongs to a sound lineage, Shrotriya. Shrotriyasya. This means belonging to the Shrotriya is the level of ananda enjoyed by the karma devatas, the gandharvas, these chiraloka, chira devatas, pitru devatas. All of them, Indra, Prajapati, Brihaspati, all the anandas, Brahmaji. Everything is enjoyed by one person sitting there in this finite body, riddled with disease, aging, etc. Infinite ananda, you can't even say is enjoyed. The person is an embodiment of that infinite ananda which one wanted. Shrotriya, first condition. Second one is akamahataha. This is a compound. You can't say akamena hataha, killed by non-want. No. The one who is kamena nahataha, the one who is not hijacked by wants. Means the one who has vairagya. I told you yesterday or one of these days that the less you want, the more you get. Whenever you want something really badly, immediately unwant it, okay? And then you'll get it. But it has to be sincere. You cannot pretend that you unwant it. Here is this person enjoying all the levels of ananda, sitting under a tree, without really pursuing any of these levels of ananda. How? We will see that in the last class, which is tomorrow afternoon at 4:30. Today satsang will be there, I will be, and then the evening class the Swami will take. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadāga Purnamevāvashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.